Welcome to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tattooing Network.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Your source for the latest Legion news, opinion, and analysis.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
John Archiquette.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Matt Turner.
I'm not afraid.
And
my name is Jeff. You will be.
What's going on, Outriders? John, Jeff, and Dan hanging out with us today. And Matt is here somewhere, just kind of floating around.
He's wandering. He's in space, like Space Leia.
He's just kind of like, we're going to see him like zoom in here like Mary Poppins every once in a while.
I mean, if that's the power he has, that's pretty awesome, I guess.
Oh, speak of the devil.
I wonder if that got picked up.
Yeah, so the four of us are here together, which is the first time we've had a four-person podcast, in person at least.
Outside of visitors and stuff.
Well, 3.5.
Matt, you're half a person.
Mary Poppins away!
Directed by Ryan Johnson. No, we got a lot of stuff this week. We got, or the last 2 weeks at least.
So many goodies.
So many,
Oh my God.
release articles, streams, previews.
Leaks. Previews for leaks. Like, yeah, I mean, it was a plethora of things.
And it's like, I missed last week, but just the number of things that came out since that last recording, man, yeah, so much stuff to go over.
Yeah, we already kind of knew, we had a teaser of what was going on, but, you know, everybody's speculating. Is this an actual list of what things are coming out? But yeah, we had a lot of stuff to talk about.
Well, that, and, you know, we were hoping we would get some more Clone Wars stuff early in the year. And, man, when you ask for a little bit and they give a lot.
Ask and you shall receive. FFG. What else do we want? Let's go ahead and ask for it right now.
Wookiee Vibroswords.
Wookiee Vibroswords, yeah.
Vibroswords.
Wow. That was a big slip right there.
Hey, I mean,
welcome to the Legion Outriders podcast.
Did I hear something about a vibrator sword?
Wookiee vibrator swords.
Oh, wow.
Wow, okay. Very niche market right there.
That's why we don't have more Wookiees out on the field. They're busy.
I'll put 2 on pre-order, please. No, we got some seriously great stuff to go over this week. Got some good Star Wars news. And we got some other big news we'll talk about at the end of the show. But first, I missed last week, so let me just real quick give a speed version recap of my LVO, because I had an awesome time, and like Matt, I was victim to the wiles of one Antonio Sanchez. No, it was really great to meet a lot of you guys out there who listen to us, and we met up with a group of guys from Denver, and they bought us drinks. You know, we shared a couple rounds, good time, and I'd like to say that was probably the reason why I went 3-1 instead of 4-0. No, just kidding. It had nothing to do with that. Yeah, we had overall pretty great time. And yeah, thanks to all my opponents. I forgot your names because it's been a month now, but all you guys were awesome opponents. And Mike Cirillo, thanks for kicking my butt and proving why I need to practice more before I just stroll into a tournament, I guess.
I mean, yeah, everybody had fun, so I think that was the big key thing that we took away. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Lots of great opponents, lots of great tables, lots of great terrain. So I'm hoping to see another successful 2021 LVO. I'm looking forward to it already.
And just seeing the growth from 2019 to 2020. Yeah. I'm sure 2021 will just be even bigger.
We're gonna have all the clone stuff out, all the droid stuff out by then. Well, not all of it, but a lot more units.
Well, a lot of the stuff we've seen so far. Yeah,
that'll be out.
And word on the street, we're going to be in the main hall next year. At least that's nice. What LJ was saying.
Yeah, it's about time we start cutting into some of 40K's territory, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind going back to that first room where we had the penthouse view or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
The Sky View Lounge?
Yeah, the Sky View
Terrace.
Yeah.
That was a good time, yeah. Well, I mean, either way, though, like I imagine we'll see more growth before next year, and good luck to LJ trying to get all that arranged.
Yeah. A lot of work for him, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into Star Wars news, because we had a bunch of good Star Wars news come out. First of all, Bob Iger's got some things going on. What's up with that?
So I'm not the one that put this in here, but it says, let me see. Did you put this in?
I dug this one up. So our good Emperor Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, had a investor call recently where he let a few things drop on what the future of Star Wars content going forward, at least until the next rumored movies, which are last time it was announced were going to be 2023. It was in between the avatars, but anyway, they said that their priority for the next few years is going to be focused on television, So that means more great stuff like Mandalorian and Clone Wars, which are coming out soon. And hinted at the possibility of some Mandalorian spin-offs, stating that there's a possibility that they might introduce a few characters that then might spin off into their own shows.
So I'm a little wary about that. I really think I like the Mandalorian. I liked what they did. I think they hit it the nail right on the head, and they kind of pulled from what Firefly did. They had a great small cast of characters that they could focus on, and that was it. And then, they were telling a small story here, a small story there, and your week-to-week stories were great, and then you kind of tie it all together at the end. I don't know about these spin-offs. Like, I think that's distracting from what the successful part of the show is. I mean, you want to go watch a spin-off show about, like, Data when he's out, I don't know, doing some weird stuff?
I want the Bill Burr comedy Star Wars show.
Yes.
See, and I'm going to
Are you going to go the opposite way?
I'm going to go opposite with you on this. So I think that the more you expand, just the brand, bring in, and there's going to be hits and there's going to be misses.
Yeah.
Not everything is going to be, amazing. You're going to have some Star Wars holiday specials in there, right?
Right.
So the more you expand and introduce, some comedic elements, having like Matt was saying, having Bill Burr in there and having like some of the people who, or Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Like what he brought to the table, like adding some of what he does to Star Wars, I think it creates a more expansive universe.
Yeah, I can see that. I just hope they don't do it too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, just don't flood the market.
Right. Yeah. Right. If you're gonna do that, let it be digested, and then move on to what you want to do.
Keep the same high quality. Keep the talented people involved, and push from there.
Yeah. So that I can agree with. And if you're gonna do that, bring IG-88 or IG-11 story to us, and then I'm 100% on board.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes.
I mean, there are some other good characters out there. I mean, who wouldn't love a Dr. Aphra series? There's definitely potential there.
Yeah, I know their pool of things they can pull from is huge, and there's a lot of fans. There's a lot of potential for fans, new fans. So yeah.
I mean, it's one thing that Star Wars did so well, even just from the original trilogy, is you had so many characters that were just like had a 1-second cameo in the cantina, and then through other expanded universe, like books and comics and things like that, you were able to just create this massive cast of characters.
Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, exactly. So giving us more shows, more spin-offs and things like that just allows more creative talent to be able to explore different storylines.
So I think my fear comes from the movies where these last few trilogy movies, they just kind of, it felt pushed, like the Han Solo movie, and nothing wrong with the Han Solo movie. I watched it a couple more times, and I'm not a hater of it. I think it's a good story. I think there was a lot of bad publicity before it came out, and that kind of hurt the overall what the film did. And so it just felt like it was just Star Wars for a couple years here, and I would hate to see the quality of the shows dip just to get more content out there. So that's my fear.
Okay, yeah, that's a a well-placed concern, but I think with we're seeing with Resistance, that's something that's aimed at kids, right? With Mandalorian, that's something that's aimed more adult-oriented.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's still within that.
But your kid
same
can sit there
brand.
and watch it with you because it's not. I mean, it's still a good show.
Exactly, yeah. And you're kind of seeing Marvel do it, where they're exploring different side projects with characters that you all know and love,
right?
In different ways that are not necessarily just your cookie cutter big budget action movie.
Yeah, you get 10 minutes of that specific character on film, and then that's all you see, and then the rest is the group of people. So yeah, I mean, it's not bad for sure.
All right, what else we got for Star Wars news?
Well, the two confirmed TV shows dates, that is, of course, in little less than a week, Clone Wars Season 7.
Nice.
Will be hitting on the 21st of February. And then Mandalorian Season 2 was confirmed for October of this year. So they're turning that one around real quick.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great. And we saw they had a panel discussion where they showed some new characters, right? Or some returning characters. Am I completely making this up, or was there an Iden Versio
Oh, that's character. One rumor going around as a potential spin-off as well.
Okay. Because wasn't there a panel discussion where they had an actress dressed up like Iden Versio or something?
Are you thinking about his Valentine picture? Are you thinking about Dan's Valentine picture?
Maybe.
No, that was actually when they announced Battlefront 2 at one of the GameStop investor things, and they actually had
news.
Yeah,
this is where we pat John on the head, and we're like, "Sure, John, sure."
All right, never mind.
Here's $10. Go get a Star Wars.
Go see a Star Wars. Okay, sorry for spreading scurrilous rumors.
Well, we nipped that one in the bud real quick, so it's okay.
All right, what else we got?
So this was the one I saw. I was just watching an interview with Ewan McGregor because I'm a big fan of his. I like some of the movies he's done. Big fan of him as Obi-Wan, and he was just discussing his excitement for the role in the new Obi-Wan series. I think they were looking at a 2021 release for that. And then he was just talking about how he watched The Mandalorian to prepare for it and how he really enjoyed what they were doing with The Mandalorian. And I think he's been excited to come back to his role as Obi-Wan for a long time now, probably since, the original, not the original trilogy, the second trilogy of movies came out. So
yeah, there's so
I'm
much,
excited for that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And there's, who doesn't love Ewan McGregor? Yeah. There's so much like story to explore in between, the end of episode 3 and end of, and then the beginning of The New Hope.
Right. And it's funny, I was just watching The New Hope the other day, and Obi-Wan coming down the hill, and he's like, woo! like doing his weird noises. And I was dying laughing when I was sitting there. This guy was getting ready to paint, and I was like, I can't paint like this, man. You're making me laugh. But yeah, there's a lot of story there. I think a lot of stuff that we can get into between him and Maul. Like, I know there was a lot of interactions between him and Maul, so I don't know, maybe we'll see a live-action Maul again. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, we got a little brief preview of it in Solo, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be cool to see more with that.
And the scene in Rebels as well, where they had their last duel.
Yeah, so, amazing scene. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. Watch that one episode for that 30-second fight scene.
I need to catch up on Rebels before the Clone Wars Season 7 comes out.
Yeah,
so.
you're running out of time, sir.
I know, right?
I got to catch up on all Clone Wars before Clone Wars comes out.
All right, did we have any more Star Wars news?
That was all I had.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, before we get into all of the big news or Legion releases, we're a day after Valentine's Day right now. And because Dan was so creative in coming up with the Iden Versio thing, who's your Star Wars Valentine?
Well, mine was pretty obvious. I did post it on the main Facebook page, and of course the moderators promptly took it down. But hey, that they're doing their job, so keeping it a Legion focused. But yes, of course, as the Imperial player in the room, I do love that Iden is coming to the game. She's going to bring a lot for a frontline brawler commander who can definitely mix it up, and with Courage 3 as well. And that's really going to help.
So are we going strictly Star Wars Legion?
Oh, well, we don't have to. I mean,
so I can't throw Lumpy in there?
Cad Bane. I mean, you could go with Cad Bane. I know how much you love him.
Oh, God. We'll get to that.
Prune face.
So yeah, mine, I posted it on the Legion Outriders page, so it wouldn't get taken down. But you didn't know at the time that it was going to get taken. There was some reformatting to the rules going on, and I think just a recheck on the main Facebook page. But yeah, mine was Padme, because everybody else was just hating on Padme so hard. And I don't know, you're not really on the Facebook page, are you?
No.
Okay, yeah. After the release, man, just people were starting to get a little rough, like not just on the model and the character coming to the game, but the character herself. So I was like, I'll start poking the bear a little bit, and Padme's my...
So, okay, what was the criticism?
I think it's just a lot of people were frustrated that it wasn't another Force user or Anakin or Ahsoka. You know, I mean, and you know, I think she's going to make a great operative addition to the game. We'll talk about that later. But I don't really know. I don't know why people were hating on her so much. And my thing wasn't, my opinion is your opinion or that. I mean, I know that was one of the things that came up. But it was more that, be grateful for these units in this great game that we're getting. Why do you got to hate on it? Because the more you hate on it, the more it just brings the whole energy level of the game down. So
for sure, and I think you want some diversity in unit choice too.
Yeah.
I mean, if your third commander is just going to be a rehash of the first commander,
right?
I mean, then that's not going to have a whole lot of diversity. That you look at, Captain Rex and Obi-Wan run very differently, and you've got Padme who's bringing more support elements to the table or something.
And she's operative too, so she fits into that operative role really well based on what she did in the movies. And I mean, I think she's probably like one of the best characters they could have picked to release right now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good call.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But.
I mean, I'm going to go with Jyn then, because
there you go.
Jyn's fun to play with. I mean, she may not be the most overpowered character in the game. And I mean, just like she's such a cool character in the movie too.
Yeah.
So if I don't get to pick Lumpy, I'm gonna go ahead with my girl Jyn.
As a also Rebel player, I'll second your vote and say good choice.
Oh no, you got Padme. You stick with Padme, okay?
Man,
don't be double dipping on Valentine's Day, okay? You get your hand slapped in the cookie jar.
I'm just saying you picked a good one.
All right, so that wraps up. All right, let's get into the big news of the week. So we've got a lot of releases to talk about. Where do you want to start?
So we had the Saber articles. Sorry, the tank articles. We got the Saber tank and the AAT articles both released, and we got to see some more of the upgrades they're coming with. Some better pictures, better quality pictures. I think of the main card. So I'm pretty excited for these. When it first got announced, I was a little hesitant based on what I had seen the Occupier tank do. Well, the Occupier tank was good, but just based on what the Rebel Speeder did, wasn't really all that impressive.
Yeah.
Didn't really bring a lot of vehicles back into the game, but that's changed since then. So I'm pretty excited to see these. I'm definitely getting the Saber tank for my army, for my Republic army, and it's probably going to be one of the main pieces I build around, just because that thing looks hard hitting.
So before this article released, were you like already plugging in the a Saber tank into your upcoming lists, or was it one of those like, maybe I'll buy it?
Not at all. I was almost looking at bypassing it just based on price and how expensive the clones already were. But with Rex coming out, with R2 bringing the price down, looking at what Padme is going to bring later, that kind of changed my perspective of, hey, maybe I need to put this tank in here and see what it can do and get some reps with it, and then later I can bring Padme in, bring some of the ARC troopers in, and just, man, I feel like clones are in a good position to start seeing some hard-hitting armies.
Dan, as somebody who plays a lot of gunline armies and stuff like that, like, how do you feel like these two tanks are going to influence the meta and how you play?
It's since, well, at least on the Empire side, the shift towards shores has really dropped the amount of impact available, since our Lord and Savior, the DLT, is not so much, not as prevalent anymore. That might have to start mixing in some DLTs or other anti-armor back. Of course, I have heard a lot of chatter that the best anti-armor is armor. So a lot of people are saying they're going to bring vehicles to counter vehicles, and at least with the two new factions, that seems what the go-to anti-armor choice is.
So do you think that'll see like maybe a resurgence of the ATSC, our Lord and Savior Weiss?
Well, I do love a Wonder Weiss. The Imperial Hammer pilot definitely helped the ATSD, as long as the point dropped as well. So now the ATSD could see a small resurgence. I mean, there were quite a few ATSDs at LVO and the other the primes and other big events that have been coming up. So it's not a mainstay choice, but it's present.
Yeah, it's definitely competitive. I would say, I don't know, a year ago, it just wasn't as competitive based on what armies were doing. We have new objectives coming out, so you're going to see not vehicle-based objectives, but I think vehicle-based deployments, because you have the one where you can scout the vehicle forward, right? That's in the next pack.
Oh, yeah, and a couple of the other things that have been leaked also aren't against vehicles as much as the current ones.
Right.
At least taking a vehicle doesn't hurt you as much.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the issue that a lot of vehicle heavy lists ran into in this current iteration of the game, is that really, unless you could table your opponent or like reduce their forces to a point where they weren't able to interact with objectives,
there's no more troopers left.
Yeah, like for the most part, unless you were playing breakthrough, like there really weren't a lot of ways for you to win the game on objectives.
Right. And vehicles are expensive, so you're putting a lot of points into that one unit who really can't contribute other than attacking as you're moving forward the rest of your army. So yeah, I think the vehicles, these tanks especially, are gonna see a lot of table time. At least, I hope so.
Well, the thing that in addition to the possibility of the new objectives really strengthening vehicles in the game, I think the thing that's really going to make these guys stand out is their ability to counter other vehicles, but also their ability to just erase troopers off the table.
Yeah, that, and you're seeing something that other tanks don't do, other than just carrying vehicles or carrying troopers around. These tanks are going to be able to interact with their own troopers. So if you lose your main commander and you have like your T-series tactical droid pilot, or your Lockderd, you have a pilot that can do something. I don't know about Lockderd, maybe not him, but you have the pilots that can actually contribute to your army's orders going out. The clone army getting tokens, sharing back and forth between the tank and the troopers, like that's really good. So I think they're gonna fit into the army better than we saw with the first two factions.
Well, I think they're the first like actual battle tanks, because like the Occupier is almost like a troop carrier.
Yeah.
And the ATST's got its own thing that it does, but it's not not a specified battle tank.
And then the speeder was just kind of a thrown together.
It's a technical.
Platform,
it's a technical, exactly. Yeah, like we talked about. It's a technical.
And the speeder's a technical. The Occupier is an APC.
Yeah.
The walker, the big advantage of that is being 12 inches off the frickin' table, so the line of sight. But yeah, these two guys are going to be the main, tip of the spear drive-in, definitely.
Yeah, hard hitting on troops, hard hitting on vehicles. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they bring.
That beam cannon, though. So I know we saw a glimpse of that a little while ago, but its ability to throw out multiple shots on multiple defenders, and I mean, it erases droids.
For sure.
It's gonna put a hurt on clone armies that want to stay within token sharing range.
Yeah.
I think, and even the comms relay trick Empire gun lines, they're gonna have a hard time because they're all kind of clumped together too. I think that's going to change a lot of the way that people are going to have to both deploy their armies. It's an expensive upgrade, though, right?
It is, yeah. So it's 30 points, which is pretty big. You have another one that's 14 points that you could take, or 10 points for the armor piercing. Actually, that's a different weapon, different slot, so you could take that as well. I think the biggest advantage it brings to the table is you're able to pass out a lot of suppression. It's only 2 red dice, so if you have something in heavy cover, your chances of getting through that are smaller. You're talking about 3 to 4 suppression that could go out per round, and then once Padme comes out, if you get a standby token on her and the tank's in range, now you could hit 8 units per round with this tank. Yeah, I mean it's pretty beefy.
So, a question I have for you two, because you are better with rules than I am.
Yeah.
What is going to happen now with the fire support rule with clones? Because like a few of the guns, like the beam cannon, for example. Can you fire support the beam cannon? No.
So on the card itself, it does say that when you're doing those extra attacks with the beam cannon, it's the only weapon you can attack with. So yeah, right there, you may perform 2 extra attacks using only this weapon. So so you can't fire support that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would be absolutely broken.
Yeah.
You throw a bunch of fire support tokens out there, and it supports every single attack on it.
Yeah. And on top of that, you have to remember those fire support tokens are going to flip but it doesn't matter in this scenario. But if that were the case, you're flipping those upside down when you make that attack. You have to have range from that fire support unit. So, but they already thought of that. It's on the card. Don't even have to worry about it.
Well, we're going to see another rules update before this before they even hit the table, right?
Yes, because they have some rules that we need. Like strafe is not in there yet. So we'll definitely see a new RRG before these come out.
And the other question too is also with the ground repulsor, right? Because we don't really know exactly how that's going to interact with terrain.
No, we do. So I think it's in the rule or on the card for the tank. You're basically treated as a vehicle for all intents and purposes, but when you're moving over terrain, I think that's where you treat yourself as a repulsor. So you're a ground vehicle, but you can fly up and over stuff, which is good. Both of those tanks need that because they're the biggest bases we've seen yet. I think they barely fit within the deployment zone, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be fun because I don't know if everyone saw the pictures at LVO. Everyone listening out there, there were some pretty dense tables.
All of them.
Just maneuvering those things is going to be interesting. So I think it's really going to impact scatter terrain and table density.
Yeah, I think so. And especially with not every tournament has the same amount of terrain. I think LVO, Brendan's been really good about any event that he's involved with, he and LJ, making sure that there is plenty of terrain available. So we've seen more sparse events.
I don't think that's a negative either. I think the density of terrain is what you want because you got to remember you're bringing this this tank out to the battlefield, and if you're driving it down a street, you're not going to be able to maneuver it like you would, like you'd want to on an open battlefield. The way I see it is we're playing in these urban areas or these densely packed areas. It's a troop-based skirmish game. You can bring a tank, but it's not we're not playing the Battle of Naboo where we just have tank lines and you're just blasting at your opponent. So I think it should be hard to maneuver. I think it should be tricky to get around these terrain pieces. I think your troopers should have that cover that they need to dart in and out and get on your side flanks. So I think that's what makes it good as far as terrain interacting with this unit. And they thought about it with the strafe rule and the repulsor, so you have a little bit more maneuverability, but it's you're not getting locked into stuff. But it's not going to be a free for all. I'm just going to drive around the board.
So you say that until the first time where your saber tank ends up in like an Austin Powers golf cart scenario, where you're just like constantly putting it in reverse and going forward and like wasting all of your all your actions.
Oh, I really hope that doesn't happen. You just pivot.
So another thing with the terrain and with those vehicles in particular, they have very different layouts for their weak points, right? So I think the AAT has only the weak point in the rear, whereas Saber tanks, they have, was it 2 weak points?
Weak point 2.
Oh, 2 weak. Yeah, weak point 2.
Yeah.
So they, their only weakness is in the rear though, whereas with the Saber tank, they have basically 270 degrees of weak points.
No, it's only rear and sides. Yeah, you're right.
So I think with the Saber, you're going to either want to keep that further back or hug terrain. If you are playing on a dense terrain board, I mean, use that terrain to your advantage. Like, give yourself some natural, angles being blocked off, because, man, snipers could see a resurgence, especially with that Saber tank.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's another place that strafe is going to come in handy. You're keeping, this is like video gaming 101. You're keeping your field of fire in front of you as you strafe left and right. And I mean, if you keep it a little ways back to get into that side arc, you're really going to have to run those troopers deep into your opponent's, zones or whatever.
Yeah.
If you push that thing right in the middle of the field, it's going to suffer what every other unit or heavy object would suffer, just that focused fire. And a good opponent is going to flank it and use that weak point to their advantage. But for sure, yeah.
But I mean, even with snipers could really do some damage to that thing. Yeah. If you put one sniper unit on each corner of the table and you advance up, and no matter what, they're going to basically fire a weak point at one of the sides.
Yeah, I think, the arc is going to be pretty big on it because it's a round base, right?
Yeah, it's a circular base.
Yeah, or circular base, sorry. Yeah, so circular, and, so that arc is going to be pretty wide to get past, to get into those side arcs, I think, as long as you're positioning it well. But yeah, I think it's going to be probably something you want to hang back.
Yeah, probably make sure you keep rapid reinforcements out of your, your command deck.
And then again, if your unit's flanking you with a sniper team, if I see a sniper team flanking by itself, I'm going to send one team of troopers over there and just knock them off the board. Because even with low profile or heavy cover, you only got 2 units out there, or one hanging out. You just pick them off and then pick the next one off next round. So
as far as the pilots that were previewed, which of those pilots do you think have the most viability?
I'll let Dan go first. Well, maybe I should go first because I know which one's really good on my side. So I think the veteran clone pilot's going to see a lot of playtime for the Republic, just because he lets you share your green tokens with your troopers every turn. Once a turn. But he refreshes at the end of the turn, and he's really cheap. 7 points for that upgrade is really good. So I think you're going to see a lot of those veteran troopers at first. The other pilots are good. I just, I think it just depends on your army build.
So, since we have Plo Koon as a pilot upgrade, does that mean there's not going to be a Plo Koon model?
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Not necessarily.
We have 2 Lukes in the game. We have 2 Vaders in the
game.
game.
True, yeah.
So, it's just, we have him right now on the tank. If he's on the tank, you wouldn't be able to take him on the field. If you put him on the field, can't take him on the tank.
Well, I mean, it allows me to take him with my wolf pack, at least, but...
I think we'll probably see these popular characters.
Well, that's a hell of a canvas, that tank model, to be able to put the Wolfpack colors on.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Man, did they actually show any like Wolfpack tanks with like the color scheme and insignias and everything?
And the Clone Wars? I don't know.
Not to my memory, but that's something we may have to look into.
I mean, I'll just make it up.
Yeah.
I'll just be creative with it. Question with the veteran clone pilot. So it says that you can share the aim, dodge, and surge tokens.
Yep.
No standby?
Yeah, it doesn't look like standby.
That would be broken.
Yeah, it probably would. Yeah, you're right. Especially for 7 points.
Yeah, but Padme is coming out with hers that you can share green tokens at range 1 to 2, I believe. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, they don't need another one of those.
So the Ayla Sakura is interesting because it gives you the Inspire 2 and Field Commander, so you can kind of use that as like a almost mobile centerpiece.
Yeah, so if you were issuing commands from her, or the basic commands, the general commands like assault, push, all those, you could issue from her. And then, yeah, the Inspire 2 I think is really nice. I think I had, I could Inspire 8 off my army at LVO, and it was huge with one of the cards and the units I had out there. So with the amount of suppression that the Empire can lay down, with the amount of droids out there that can split fire, just the droid army in general being large and kind of typically, I think, wanting more activation similar to Rebels, anything that has Inspire on it is always something that catches my eye for sure, too.
And there wasn't a lot of sources of Inspire with the clones yet, right?
No. Other than Strict Orders and Hope. That's about it that I can think of offhand.
I think Rex had a command card that let him do it. And I think that was the only thing outside of the upgrades.
But it's not like Leia, who is basically an Inspire machine.
Oh man,
or,
she was so good.
Or Veers.
Yeah, she saved me in LVO a lot of times from stuff panicking off the board. Just 2 every time is huge. So having a tank that can do it, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're running a ATRT heavy list, sometimes throwing that 2-pip out there, the generic 2-pip that gives those Inspire, that's not a bad thing.
No, yeah, that's the one I was running because I figured late game, or anytime in the game, if there was a point where I see deploy the garrison, I think that's the one that hands out suppression, right? The one that hands out suppression from the army or from the Empire. If I ever see that come out, next round, if my army's suppressed or panicking, that would be huge for me because you're talking about 8 tokens plus your rally step. So I like Inspire, and I think we'll see more of it.
That's Annihilation Looms, sir.
Annihilation
Looms,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what about the droid pilots, Dan?
Well, the newest one that they showed at this article, the other 2 were leaked before, was the OOM series droid pilot, which gives you Coordinate Droid Trooper, which will help droid players with starting their activation chains for their B1s. Though I still think Lock Dirt is going to be the fan favorite. I mean, not just for that art, and I'm sure Shapeways, whoever is on Shapeways, make this sculpt. It is an amazing sculpt.
Okay, real quick, because I'm not as familiar with the Clone Wars stuff as you guys are. Is Lock Dirt an actual character?
Yes, he has an episode. He is voiced by George Takei.
Oh god. Oh my.
Oh yeah. And he was this commander who was developing this super weapon that would only kill organics and not droids in the area.
I did see that one.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and just hilarious. This just fat Nemodian barely fitting out of the hatch on the top, steepling his fingers yes. Oh, like I said, someone on Shapeways has to, because they did announce that the extra models for the tanks will only be a OOM series, and on the clone side, just a clone commander. So
you will have the option of actually having like a droid pilot sticking out of the top.
Yes, but not Lock Dirt here. Which is unfortunate because
not yet. If you're good at sculpting and you go to Shapeways account, go ahead and make that.
Yeah,
post.
we've got some talented people out there. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure you'll see it.
But yeah, just adding suppressive to either a tank that can fire twice in a turn or split firing, that's going to throw a lot of suppression around.
Yeah.
And it's nice because you lose the AI attack, which gives you activation control over that tank a little bit better. Because as an opponent, I know it's nice whenever I see the droids out there without their face-up tokens, because I'm just going to throw something out in heavy cover and dodge tokens, and hey, you have to shoot at that first now every turn. So even when it's exhausted, you still have that benefit from that card. That's pretty big.
So yeah, to get the suppressive, you have to exhaust it, which means you won't be able to do it for both shots in a turn, correct?
Yes. Well, no, because this says until the end of your activation, each weapon. So
okay, so if you do shoot both times, that will have suppressive, and then the next turn you'll have to refresh it.
Correct. And if you're stacking some of the shell upgrades on there that also tap, your refreshes will get some extra efficiency out of that.
So talk about a little bit about the shell upgrades. What are your favorite ones of those?
Well, there's 3 shells have been announced. The high energy shells, which I think will be best on the AAT. It's 2 red and a white, range 2 to 4, critical, and high velocity. So if you're using that main cannon in Arsenal with these shells, you retain high velocity. So that's going to be definitely anti-Jedi, anti-Tauntaun, anti-dodge token.
Yeah.
Because if you combine it with another shell, you lose that high velocity keyword, right?
Correct. You combine it with any other weapon that doesn't have high velocity, the pool loses that keyword.
Oh, so that's definitely huge. What else do we have?
The Bunker Busters, which are your anti-personnel. They're close range 1 to 2, black 3 white, but blast and scatter. So it's just basically for blowing entrenched troopers out of cover, and then you reposition them back out of cover so everything else can just blow them away.
So that's more expensive than the other one, though.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that first one is going to be like the auto include.
Probably for the AAT guys.
Yeah, I don't think so as much for the Saber, but the AAT will definitely love the high energy shells.
Yeah, so those sound like they're pretty important upgrades to have. I mean, we're looking at probably, if you throw on the extra shell and the extra weapon for in the case of the Saber tank, they're probably gonna be sitting close to 200 points, right?
Yeah. So even with just the beam weapon, you're hitting 200 points on the Saber tank. So if you didn't take that and you took other upgrades, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to, close to that 200 point range. If you take the meme weapon, over that. So it's a pretty big chunk of your army. That's a quarter of your army.
So what's the viability of running double AATs or double Saber?
I'm not sure. I think with these vehicles, they're pretty expensive. But I mean, we see the same thing in the Empire list where they do run 2 vehicles, but they have the advantage of having cheap troops that they can take alongside it. I don't think that the clones are going to be able to do that just because we don't have a lot of options. I mean, your base trooper unit is 52 points, you know, and that's 52 points for 4 models. You're not really packing a lot of firepower. You have token sharing, but I mean, that only goes so far. I don't think I would run 2 in a list. I mean, I would almost, if I was going to run 2, or not 2 things, but something that was the equivalent cost, I would run Obi-Wan. And even then, it's too expensive. You just don't have enough leftover points. Your army's your 8 activations, 8 really bare bones activations. I'm not sure it's going to work, but other people out there are smarter than me and make things work. So I'm not sure.
So with the clones with the tank, you're probably going to be out activated. I mean, there's really, even if you fit 6 clone troop squads in there, you're probably not going to get more than 9 with R2D2.
Yeah, I think because you do want some upgrades on your units. I think you're probably not going to be running Obi-Wan. You're probably going to be running Rex to support your troopers. Get as many orders on them as you can, and then let your tank activate when it does. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to play around some lists. I've done it a little bit, but not a lot.
Well, I was just thinking that Rex, R2, a loaded tank with some moderate upgrades on those guys. That's about what, 400-ish points.
Yeah.
Can you fit how many core in 400 points for the other half of that?
Well, I mean, you're probably going to max out at 6 because 6 is what, 300 points, I think.
Probably something along the lines of that. We're really, I mean, you're not going to get more than 9. Is basically you may have to run a couple naked clone squads in there to actually get to 9.
Because you want upgrades on some of these key units. You want a couple upgrades on Rex. You want aggressive tactics. You want recon intel probably. You want your clones to have some harder hitting weapons, not just rolling 4 black on each clone.
Yeah, exactly.
You want shotguns or the mortars when the phase 2 come out because you want that long range suppression. So I think you're definitely going to want harder hitting units, but it's gonna you're probably gonna see 9 units. I think that's gonna be the sweet spot. 8, I think we've talked about this before. Those 8 activation lists, they have some powerful stuff, but as soon as you start losing anything, your army just kind of loses steam. You get the late activations on your opponent where they just start knocking things out and you can't really do anything about it. But
if you've got that lethality from the Saber tank, if you're starting to put out shots to basically evaporate some of these naked trooper squads or these B1 squads that just don't have that kind of survivability, if you can take enough activations off the board, by turn 2 or 3, you may not be out activated anymore.
I mean, that's true. That's something to consider. You could run that 8 activation list where you're running those 8 elite squads and your tank is one of those hard-hitting units that you're putting out, 3 to 4 shots with the beam cannon. And you might not be killing a lot of stuff, but you're suppressing it to the point that, you do start eventually taking units off the board. Your opponent's going to either be moving slowly from taking so much suppression or they're going to be losing units. And, we do have some nice hard-hitting clone units coming up. The ARC Troopers, they're mobile, they're hard-hitting, they're cheap, 21, I think it's 21 points, but I'm not sure that's right. We'll talk about that later.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves yet.
Yeah,
Right.
So we've got some units in down the line that can support those type of lists.
But and on the Separatist side, I don't think they're going to fit 2 AATs, not until they can get a much cheaper commander, or at least the strike team options, which we'll talk about more in the future. Because there's just, with 2 200-point plus commanders, there's just no way they can fit that much stuff into one list and still have enough board presence.
Do you think they get more mileage out of running 1 kitted out, or the possibility of running 2 naked? Just 2 bare bones.
I don't think they're going to be able to run 2 until they can get maybe a specialist pack where they can have a generic commander.
Yeah, because you'd be sitting at 3, high 300s at that point.
Well, the last season of Invader League, there were a couple people running double AAT lists, weren't they?
Really?
Yeah.
I will have to review some of that and see how they pulled that off.
I mean, I may have just made that up in the same place where I saw Iden Versio on a panel discussion. I'm not sure. But do we have anything else we want to talk about with the tanks?
No, I think I'm good on the tanks. I'm really excited to see them come out. February 28th, I think, is the... No, wait, that's for the Phase 2s. The tanks...
The tanks were announced at the same time as well.
They're all dropping that same
day,
right?
At the same time.
February 28th, I think, is the date that we're looking at, that I saw.
It's going to be Black Friday in the wintertime.
Yeah. I got to start saving. My wallet's already screaming at me.
All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll discuss all those juicy new rumors in that stream.
You're listening to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tatooine Network. Now, back to the Outriders.
Welcome back, Outriders. John, Jeff, and Dan, and, the spirit of Matt floating around here somewhere. So before we get into the newest releases that we saw in the live stream, let's quick take a look at what we had that released since the last time you actually recorded.
Yep.
We had all the trooper upgrades come out, right?
Yeah, so I think last time when we talked about it, we had just gotten them. I just probably finished assembling mine because they released on Friday, and then we did our podcast on Saturday.
You didn't have them all finished and painted by that time?
No, because my name's not John. My name is Jeff.
I doubt your dedication to Sparkle Motion.
So yeah, I'll go. The Rebels. I had a chance to play with the DLT 20. It was nice. It was something different than just the because what did we have before? Yeah, the range 2 to 4.
The Z6 and the Ion.
Yeah, the Z6 and the Ion. Just terrible guns.
Your favorite.
Yeah. Oh, I hate both of them. But the DLT 20, it was a nice addition. You can do something beyond range 3 and still kind of hang out and cover. So weaken armies, hand out suppression, and give give yourself some survivability before you move up. I liked that. I didn't get to use the SX-21 shotgun. I really wanted to.
That's the one that passes out impact, right?
Yes, it's impact, but it's 2 red, 2 white, and it's range 1 to 2, but it doesn't tap. So I don't know. I wanted to use it because I think the 2 red are going to be good. I just could never get it in range of anything.
That's the thing that kills it. Range 1 and 2, it's like, unless you're like specifically, like if that had been on the Fleet Troopers, that might be pretty good. Except for the Fleet Trooper shotgun's amazing already.
Yeah. But we might see some of those other, like the Fleet Trooper upgrade expansion come out. We don't know. So those were my experiences. I did like them. The models look great. Even if I'm not running those weapons, honestly, I'm going to throw those in my units as alternates for all the humans that we have, because we have so many humans, and then I won't have to kill the Duros first.
You just kill the Hammerhead first.
Yeah.
Except for man, it's going to create some issues with terrain, because how much further does he stick up over a normal human?
That doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter coming up, because we do have, that was on the podcast, Alex Davey talked about, they're looking at line of sight and how they're going to address that. So we should see updates on that. Everybody's speculating that it's going to be like a silhouette based, kind of, I think what the ATRTs have, where you have like that outline or that cylindrical shape. We don't know. All that speculation, but we're going to see a change to line of sight. That's what Alex Davey hinted at.
Yeah, and some of the speculation out there is there may be a tool or widget of some kind that may go with that. So we'll have to see. If they do that, how they're going to distribute it. It's going to be interesting.
FFG loves their widgets and tools, don't they? All right, so what did we see from the Imperial side? Because I'm sure Jeff didn't touch that stuff, did he?
No. I played 2 skirmish games since they launched. One against Matt and his evil radiation cannons. Oh my god. Anyone with a red dice save is going to hate the radiation cannon just because those poison tokens just eat health and they don't care about armor saves. I rolled 2 T-21 squads and 2 RT-97Cs. I wanted to make it kind of even to see what squad performed better. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I do not like the T-21. Just 4 white dice, even with an aim token. I was rolling, because I had the captain in there too. 9 white dice, and I get 1 paint result.
Hey, welcome to the world of Z6s.
Yeah, exactly.
Except we don't surge for anything.
So, you surge to hit.
Surge to hit, and the T-21 adds that critical, but it already surges to hit. Yeah. So it's really an underwhelming gun in my opinion and my experience. And it's the most expensive upgrade, which is kind of weird.
I love the art for it. Can I say that? I have some sleeves that have that art on it. So, nice art. Keep running it. I like
the RT-790C, though, I think is a definite contender versus the DLT. Trading that 1 red die for 3 white when you throw some aim tokens in there really increases the ceiling on it, and I did get a lot of performance out of that.
Yeah, because we played a game and you had like two aim tokens on guys most of the time, and geez, I'm gonna reroll 4. I'm gonna reroll 4. Here's 6 hits coming at you, 7 hits coming at you. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, my second skirmish game I played versus Jeff, and he was running Operative Luke at that time, and I ran 4 RT-97 squads, 2 E-Webs and Veers in skirmish, and I'm actually falling back in love with the E-Webs, especially in skirmish. I poo-pooed them at first, but on a smaller board, they are...
they're a force to be reckoned with.
They are.
I mean, you can pretty much reach out and touch anything in the entire board.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. A lot of suppression going out from them. They can sit behind cover, and it was a good unit. It was really frustrating to deal with as a Rebel player.
So with the DLT possibly getting a little resurgence because of added armor, do you think? What are you looking at? Stick with the DLT? Or are you looking at doing this new one?
Well, and the 2 points on the DLT, I've been playing around with builds, and it does come into play at certain points. So, it's really a toss up at this point. It's how do you want to focus your army? Whether or not you want to go anti-personnel or anti-armor.
Would you mix and match ever?
I'm still playing with it, and possibly.
Yeah, I mean that's something I do. Like I don't always like if I'm gonna put one unit in there, or not one unit, but I don't know. I like having those options. That's me personally. Like I don't want to have just one. Like if it's all DLTs, and then you hit something where you're like, man, I wish I had some anti-personnel stuff. So I like to have a variety, and I hope that's where the game goes. Just where you don't have one army that does one thing, and the only thing they do is shoot at range 4 or shoot at range 5, and to me, that's boring. That's a boring type of game.
Boring to you, sir. I enjoy standing back.
Yeah.
And you not being able to shoot back at me.
It's true. That's true.
But it's cool to have different ways of, new ways of playing old units.
Yeah.
And I think that's what these upgrade packs are letting you do.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and even if you're not playing the units, you get the new models. You're not just having, 16 to 20 of the same model out there, just copy paste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
Especially as a rebel player, you want to have that diversity.
Exactly.
So one quick thing too, we had the Battlefield expansions come out.
Yep.
So we had the bunker. You're one of 2 people to buy the bunker.
Yep. I dropped it's like $70 on it. I've seen people like buying it or talking about buying it and saying how they didn't want to at first, and this is how I was. I put my order in. And I was like, it looks really good. I think it'll be a good piece of terrain. And that's where I'm at. Like, it's really nice looking. It's well sculpted. I think it's going to paint up well. I haven't done that yet. I'll get to it next year. But
you more widgets and tools to paint,
exactly,
right?
yeah. Got so many movement tools to paint. But yeah, I think for how much you pay for it, the quality is there. You get some new missions that are fun to play. I played the first one where you've got a couple troopers trapped in the bunker. You're trying to free them, and your opponent's trying to arrest you basically and put your units in the bunker. So that was a good time. It was something different than all right, I'm going to pick from 4 objectives that I've done 1,000 times. It was a nice break. And the same thing with the downed escape pod. First, the models look fantastic. I wasn't sure out of the box, the gray plastic with the sand and where the model sits, it looks really like goofy, I guess, or just plastic.
Yeah.
Kind of cheap, but it's not. And then I saw paint on it, and I've seen some amazing paint jobs on the on the Facebook page. And that sand, like the effects that people are getting out of like dry brushing and making it look like sand are amazing. It looks like legit somebody poured a pile of sand on there and then dropped the escape pod in it. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's really good looking. The models R2 and C-3PO, if you haven't seen mine, I did him with the Rust-Oleum, and he's just super bright and shiny, and he looks like he's right out of the movies.
When I saw that, I was like, wow, that is impressive. Because I usually stay away from like the Rust-Oleum paints for priming and stuff, but that turned out really nice.
Yeah, so I had done it before on Imperial Assault. I knew what it would do. I spent a lot of time practicing on the sprues because I didn't want to spend another $30 if I melted, my model or whatever. So there was some practice and preparation that went into it, but it looks really good. So, and I know other people have done it since then, and theirs came out looking really good. So if you take your time and do it right, oh, man, they look really good.
So did you use any washes on it?
I haven't yet. I started to. So I'm working on his midsection. I've got an ink in there. But, there's some challenges. You have to be careful. It's deep set, so you don't have to worry about it rubbing off. But, I probably will do some washes. And then once I do that, clear coat them, because otherwise they'll rub off. That's the only downside.
And the challenge with that, too, is you may lose some of that shininess.
Yeah, so I've kind of prepared for that, and when I do the wash, it's basically going to be a targeted wash, only in the cracks, only in places where I want that, C-3PO dirtiness to show up, maybe on his chest where he had the little restraining bolt. So yeah, you really have to be careful with what you're doing and know what you're doing.
And what era C-3PO did you go with?
I went with the original trilogy, so he's got the silver leg. I'll probably try and put the dirtiness for the restraining bolt, and I'm not going to go too crazy because I think he looks really good how I have him right now. Just a small, tiny few touches to make him look better. Clear coat, base, and done.
So how did the skirmish event go last weekend?
It was good. It was a change. I'll let Dan talk here in a minute because I feel like I've been talking for a while. I ran Operative Luke. I'll do mine real quick. I ran Operative Luke. That was the first time I've ran Luke in a long time.
Yeah.
I think since the first game I played. And he just cuts things down, but he's not he's not invulnerable. I had both opponents focus on him and knock him off the board, and then it came down to points at the end. It was a lot of fun. That's not a way I normally play, but I'm looking forward to painting him and maybe playing with him again in the future. So
Nice.
He was a little too good at cutting things down because in our game, you ran him into a squad of stormtroopers and just massacred that squad, and that left him out hanging. So, I mean, of course, I didn't want to bring it up at the time because we were playing each other, but maybe, Pierce is optional.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was cutting things down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just too exciting. Now, did you put force push on him?
I did not, no, because he has disengaged, so I wasn't too worried about it. If two people got in melee with him, I was okay with that because I would just focus on one and then maybe move away. But I did, in the other game, I got to move a squad of stormtroopers and then flamethrower another squad of snowtroopers. So moved snowtroopers and flamethrower.
Use them to flamethrower. Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, with you serve your master well.
Yeah.
And they did serve their master well, which was me at the time.
Yeah, you had one of my RT-97 squads turn around and shoot one of my E-webs.
Yeah.
And it was not pretty. So.
It's a lot of fun. He's a fun model to play with, but you really have to know when to launch him, And I think for my games, I jumped that gun and I was like, let's go, Luke, and threw him out there as quick as I could. If I had held back one turn, I think I would have been okay.
That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
I love running Luke, but that is the thing. But you got to put force push on him because when you run into that situation where because let's face it, you don't want to not kill the entire squad, right?
Right.
You want to kill all of them.
Yeah.
You got to use that force push to pull another unit into combat, so that way they stay engaged and you don't get shot up.
Yeah. In Dan's game, I think even if I had done that, he had one full squad, so it would have been like a full squad punching Luke, and with aims, he probably would have gone down anyway.
Nah.
But I mean, it was still a lot of fun. Got to play a unit I haven't played in a while, and yeah, it was fun.
Nice. All right, so let's get into all the big previews we saw this week. So, what should we start with?
Operatives first.
Sure. We always go with the good guys first. Let's hit the bad guys first. So Cad Bane, he was and we'll get this out of the way because I know how much you love Cad Bane, John.
I hate Cad Bane. That's all I gotta say about
Yeah.
it. I don't like Cad Bane as a character. The model looks great. It's a great sculpt.
Yep.
Phenomenal job with that. I just think it's a dumb character.
So yeah, up top, I'll just say all these models look amazing. As they were going through the live stream, as they were showing close-ups, the rendered paintings. I mean, I know it's probably just a rendering of colors. They all look amazing though. Multiple options. I think Padme has 2 options for her upper torso. Cad has a couple head options, gun options. Yeah, it's really good.
Yep, and the hat is molded completely separately. So if you need to buy, 30 of these to outfit your droids with hats, FFG, please make the hat upgrade expansion.
So I don't want to go too much into detail because, I mean, there was a lot in the live stream where they talked about, and we've already seen the cards leaked. I just kind of want to do an overview, but I think Cad Bane is going to be really good in the droid army. Just because he has steady, which is the same thing that the snowtroopers have, where you can move, shoot, and then move again, or move, shoot. It's a good option, and he's moving at speed 2. He's range 1 to 2, so you're gonna want to get him close, but then pop him into some sort of protection, either cover or line of sight blocking. I think a lot of people were talking about how expensive he is, but he is going to be a dodgy nightmare to take down.
Oh yeah,
speed 2, steady, and jump 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's basically thematic to what he was in the show.
Yeah,
he's just this annoying guy who is impossible to kill, and would just bounce around taking pot shots. It totally works. Points wise, how much was he?
I'm not sure on the points. I think it's 125 is what it looks like.
It
for
is
his
definitely
base card.
triple digit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an expensive operative.
Yeah, because we haven't seen anything that's really that high outside of Sabine. Chewie was 110 at first, but he got dropped down
to 90 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Boba Fettish level.
Yeah. But it sounds like he's got a lot of use out of that point level.
I mean, he's got a melee upgrade for 10 points that's suppressive and immobilized 3. You don't want something to move. You're putting 3 immobilized tokens on it. That thing's not going anywhere, and it's 4 red dice. So, man, I don't know if it's going to be a mainstay on him, but he's got some good cards. He's got some good, some tricky command cards that you can play, stuff that you're going to mess with your opponent, or, pulling suppression tokens off of your droid unit, putting them on you, throwing those suppressions on the enemy. He's just got a lot of good tricks up his sleeve, I think.
He's going to be one that basically requires the new rule guide because he's got a lot of stuff that needs to be interpreted.
Yeah, like of his own little like Cad Bane book.
Yeah.
How to play Cad Bane and all the rules that go with him.
Real quick too.
Yeah.
We did get just like breaking news that LJ said that they are going to be releasing the new RRG.
Nice.
Yep.
So that'll help a lot.
Looks like it'll be effective on or before the 28th, so right around when the tanks and our Phase 2s and B2s launch.
Yeah. Nice. In the past, they've always got them like a week early is usually when you see those drop before the new units drop. But it's been a while since we've seen one. I think the Clone Wars was the last time we saw one.
Yeah, October-ish. Yeah, so it should be within the next week or two. Okay, continue.
So I think he's really good. That's my opinion. I'm not looking forward to seeing him on the table opposite side of me, but I think he's gonna be out there. He's gonna do some work.
He doesn't have the bounty hunter rule, does he?
No, he does. Yep,
he does. Okay. So that's the first model in the new factions that's gonna have the bounty rule.
Yes, which I think is good. And when we get to Padme, I'll talk about why I think it's good. So,
do you think he fits well within the way that we're seeing the droids played right now, or do you think he's gonna basically open up a new way of playing?
I think he's going to be different. I think you might see, like, because he's expensive, so I don't know if you're going to run 2 commanders and him.
Yeah, just replace Grievous with him. Yeah. Gives you a little more room elsewhere, and I think he's just as powerful as Grievous is. He's obviously not as melee or up in your face oriented, but
yeah, I think him and Dooku on the table together would be, or him and Grievous, either one, would be a nightmare to deal with, because you're talking about one unit that wants to get up close to you, and the other unit who's going to get up close to you, range 1 to 2, and is going to be a nightmare to pin down because he's popping in and out of cover. He's jumping up on top of stuff. He's got heavy cover the whole time. He's going to have those problems that Sabine or Boba has where focused fire are going to get him, and he rolls white dice. But he's got more courage. He's got some health. He surges for things. He's a good unit.
So we only saw one of his command cards, right? Or they showed 2 of them.
We did see 2.
2, okay.
Yeah.
So
they're hard to read.
But they're both just giving orders to him?
No, his 2 pip gives 1 to him and 1 to 1 unit.
Okay.
And then his 3 pip is just him. So it's probably going to be similar to the other operatives where it's mainly focused on them.
So that's really going to necessitate you having HQ uplinks on your droids because, if you're taking away the ability to give orders out to your droids, that's going to, make it difficult to make that chain order work.
Most of the time, you see just one droid, 1 or 2 out there with the HQ uplink just to get that chain started. I think that should be good.
So what do we have on the Rebel or the Republic side to counter Cad Bane?
Here Jeff is going to gush.
I'm gonna let you talk about this one because I kind of it was weird. I jumped on the we don't have a droid representative right now, so I jumped on that one.
Well, yes, the spirit of Matt is with us all.
Yeah,
but let me get her.
Yeah, so you don't normally. So it'll be interesting to see your take on this because you don't normally play.
Well, actually, she is quite a powerful unit. I mean, just pure stats, the whole lore, and everyone being unhappy about which character they got aside. Just purely mechanically on her card, she is amazing. For 90 points, she can. What was it? When you're issued an order, you can issue an order to somebody else at range 1 to 2. So she's got comm relay baked in.
That's awesome.
Yep.
She can share her green tokens with people at 1 to 2. So she synergizes with the clones amazingly. Sharpshooter 2 with essentially Leia's gun. 3 black and not surge to crit, but surge to hit still. A command slot, and a training slot. Like she's
got quick thinking, which is a Jin. That's a Jin ability. So aim and a dodge.
She's basically combining some of the best parts of Jin with the best parts of Leia.
Yeah. I mean, she's really good.
On a 6 health, courage 3 package.
And an operative, which means that if you want to run her with Obi-Wan and with Rex, I mean, that's expensive, but I mean, it's an option.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've got 3 powerhouse units that can be up in your face doing damage.
Now, just refresh my memory. Rapid reinforcements, does that include operatives? Does not. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Oh, yeah, especially considering she can get secret missions, so yeah. That would be.
And so that was what I was waiting for is I know a lot of people have been kind of griping a little bit about these secret missions coming out. But I think it's nice for the Rebel players and the Republic players who don't have bounty. It's a different rule set, but it still gives you a chance to get that VP outside of objectives,
Yeah.
which I think is what we need. If you're going to give Imperial players and droid players bounty, let the Rebels and the Republic have a way to score VP as well. That's different. We're not bounty hunters. We're not going to be, targeting people, killing them.
Yeah, and in some of the objective scenarios where you're only looking at 3 possible victory points, having an extra one come from a bounty hunter might make the entire game.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, you're planning around getting that bounty most of the time, so you're targeting specific characters. They're going to die. You're not always going to get it, but it's something that you're working towards. This gives the Republic and the Rebel players, well, not for Padme, but with R2, it gives you something to work on, and there's still challenges to overcome. You have to get that unit all the way to the other deployment zone, so you're talking about either wading through an entire army, or she's off on the corner doing her own little mission, not really messing with you, shooting units along the way. So it's good, I think.
I mean, that you're not going to take a 90-point unit just for the secret mission, right?
No.
Like R2D2, okay, 35 points, you can manage that.
Right.
90 points just for that victory, but potential victory point doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you decide kind of turn 0, looking at the opponent, is this something I can do? And that's where her command card lets you decide. Are you going to go for the secret mission? And if you are, you have to plan around that, keep her advancing down the board the whole time. And if you don't, you still get reliable 1 instead, which is, I think you get a surge token on her after the activation phase starts. But
yeah, so I mean, being able to overview the battlefield, see what the deployments are before you even choose if she's going to do a secret mission or not, is really, really flexible.
Oh, and she does get infiltrate if she does go on the secret mission. So, I mean, she's better than R2 in that regard.
Yeah.
So you might infiltrate deep and then support her on the way, and that's one of your main goals, So
Sure, or if you're playing like battle lines where you've got this long, expansive deployment area, if your opponent's playing something where they need to bunch their things together, drop her in that corner.
Yeah. Go deal with her. I get a free
Yeah.
point.
Or even just playing mind games with your opponent, making them worry about you having to do that, so they spread their forces out to prevent that, leaving them not concentrated in one area.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite things to do is mind games. Like I'll deploy units sometimes I'm going to say the dumbest way possible, just to mess with my opponent. And then like turn 1, I'm like, just take everything to the other side of the battlefield, like double move, and just to mess with them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, like not everything has to be, I'm going to walk at you, I'm going to shoot you. Like play those mind games, man. I love those mind games. That makes the game.
One small point, though, if you do choose to infiltrate her, unlike Vader's infiltrate card, you don't have to put her last. It's not stipulated that.
Yeah, that's pretty
you
good.
could sneak her in before your opponent can block off those avenues.
That's pretty awesome.
And she gets a dodge token when she infiltrates. Whew. And she has nimble.
And plus, that was having nimble too.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes that dodge go so much further.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see her. I'm really excited to play her on the board. Playing against her, I don't know. I think she's going to be pretty good. We'll see.
Her upgrade pistol looks pretty good too.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an auto include.
I mean, it increases that range from 1 to 2 to 1 to 3,
Yep.
and gives her Pierce.
Yep.
Which I think Pierce is arguably the best keyword.
Yeah. Especially for clones that don't have a lot of Pierce in their repertoire.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that was always great about playing Rebels was, when you actually do, especially Wookiees, because people don't expect it. It's like, oh, get that Pierce in there. It goes so far playing against clones or Imperials.
I love that someone brought up on the Facebook page, this is the same rifle as the B1s. So when a robot specifically designed for war is shooting it, it's a white die. When someone picks it up, red and Pierce.
Yeah, but she's. I mean,
I know
she's Padme. She's a hero.
What's her accuracy? Like, did somebody calculate the accuracy rate of her in the movies and the shows and stuff like that? And she's like 100% accurate.
Alex did talk about it in the podcast. He was like, "Yeah, we watched source material, and she is extremely accurate, which is why she has that sharpshooter keyword, sharpshooter 2." So I like that these devs are looking not just, okay, what characters are we going to bring, but why should we do this thematically?
Mm-hmm.
Diplomat, or what? Not diplomat, but the diplomatic cover. It's a great thematic card. Her being operative, her having infiltrate, all this stuff is huge. She was always off getting into trouble, off on her own with R2, exploring stuff. And yeah, I think she's a great thematic ad. She's a great army ad.
I mean, both her and Cad Bane are, they fit thematically with, their role on the battlefield fits with what we've seen in the source material.
Yeah, I think we're just seeing the Alex Davey and Luke Eddy putting these things into the game that aren't, cookie cutter, okay, we're going to release one thing for each army, and it's the same for every
Mm-hmm.
army. It's very specific to what that army does and what that character was doing, throughout the shows and movies and whatnot. So,
But still adds new ways to play that same army.
right, yeah, and you see a lot of rules that we already have, so you're not having to necessarily learn a bunch of new stuff, because her authoritative, it's just a new word, but it's still doing the same thing as comm relay. Same thing with Exemplar, where she shares tokens. It's just a clone sharing token, but at range 1 to 2 instead. So it's nice that they're adding these things, but not, it's not confusing.
So, are you planning on adding her into your Republic list?
100%, yeah. I mean, I think she's a great Leia-type character, but a little bit more offensive than Leia. Leia's, kind of sit back, support the troops, issue orders, inspire. I think Padme is going to be on those flank positions, taking units out, playing these crazy little command cards, messing with your opponent, which is what she did. Same thing with Cad Bane. I think he's going to be popping in and out of cover, tormenting you with those range shots, suppression, immobilize. Yeah, I think they're just great units.
Now, who do you think she fits better with, Rex or Obi-Wan?
It could be either one, honestly. It depends on what the rest of your army looks like, I think. I think she would run fine with Obi-Wan because you're sharing tokens with Obi-Wan, something he really can't do in the rest of the army.
Yeah.
With Rex or that tank, you're talking about sharing tokens with a tank now because it's a unit, not a trooper unit that she can share.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that's nasty.
Yeah. Friendly units at range 1 to 2 can share your tokens. Yeah. So you're talking about a tank that can now take a standby from Padme because she has that standby, and you quick thinking standby, you've got 3 tokens that tank can use now.
So, man, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, and points wise, just her at 90, Rex, I believe, was
90 as well. Yep.
And R2, that gives you lots of points available to fill out the rest of your army to fit the Saber tank with all those upgrades.
You're not talking about having 3 units that are your heavy hitters, and then just a bunch of naked troopers the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about 3 heavy hitting units with a bunch of troopers that you can still put upgrades on.
So, yeah, I mean, potentially that could give you a 10 activation clone list.
Yep.
Possibly. I think if you run a couple naked, you might be able to get to
Well, you can only take the 6. Oh, yeah, once you talk about arcs. We'll
we'll
get to that.
You do R2. Well, okay.
Yeah.
We won't spoil that yet.
Because if you had the 3, that's 3 units with the commander and the 2 operatives, and then your 6 clones. That would only get you up to 9. So you would have to have
Unless you squeeze a tank in there.
unless you squeeze a tank in there. Yeah.
All right, so I think we've already talked about operatives enough. We want to go into the new special forces, guys.
Yes.
All right, so we did the droids first, so let's go ahead and do the commandos. What are we looking at for them?
ARC troopers. I mean, this is just such a.
Wait, so we're doing ARC troopers?
Do you want to do ARC troopers? Sorry, wait.
I thought we were going to stick with droids
Yeah, we'll
first.
do droids first.
Okay.
Droids
Okay.
first. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Droids.
Ignore that. No ARC troopers.
As an Imperial player, there's lots of aspects of these droids that both make me hate and fear them. I mean, just picture this: a strike team that throws mines, that give poison out, that have a red defense die, impervious, and an upgrade that gives them shield 2. Those things are how are you removing that from the table?
Yeah, it's going to change the way the droids play, I think.
So they're red dice saves, right?
Yes.
So
Red dice saves.
They're hefty.
No surge on defense, though.
But I mean, how easy can you give surge tokens
Yeah.
out with the droid faction?
Oh, yeah,
true.
yeah. So they run in strike teams or in full teams, just like
Right.
the.
So this
the
is our
special
commando
forces. Yeah.
alternative that you would see out of the Rebel and Imperial stuff.
All right. So what are the two what are the best ways to run them, or what are you looking at running yours? Well, if you were to play,
If I were to play, and I'll be honest with you, these are tempting, but I don't have the time to build a second army, let alone paint my first one. But yeah, with red dice saves, the weird thing, and I'm not sure, I haven't wrapped my head around it yet, is their AI is dodge and move. So if they don't get that token, they either have to dodge or move first, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, they want to move anyway, I think, so that's okay.
It's better than being stuck attacking something you don't want to attack,
Right.
And then not being able
with
to
no
attack again.
aims, with no modifiers on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So this still allows you to attack the unit that you want to attack.
Right.
Right. But yeah, with the red defense dice and impervious, these guys are the most defensive strike team or commando units we've seen.
Yep.
And I forgot to mention earlier, scale.
Yep.
Grappling hooks built in. That's just crazy. And yes, they are more expensive.
Yeah.
but not by a whole heck of a lot. But still, for all these upgrades,
What are we looking at price-wise?
So this is
Points.
kind of confusing, I think, because I was looking at these points earlier, and I think that right now on Tabletop Admiral they have them listed at 24 points, I think. But I think
For the
that's
strike
too,
team.
for the strike team.
Okay.
I think that's too high. I think it's 68 for the 4-man, and I think it's going to be 22 for the for the 2-man strike team. That's what I'm guessing, but it's really hard to see the image. I have a better quality image, but I
And
don't
how
have
many models are we looking at per?
It's going to be the same, 4 and 2.
4 and 2, okay.
Yeah, but you get 7 models in the pack. So you'll get the sniper, you'll get the bomber, you'll get a vibroblade guy, and then you get 4 other like shield or gunner. There's a lot of options to build.
No, yeah, they showed some of the build sheets on the stream, and they show that you can build these guys a bunch of different ways with this holding the swords on their backpacks, holding the shields, not holding the shields. So this is going to be a really flexible kit for all the modders and builders out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I'm just still not getting over everything they can do in one in one.
Yeah, there's a
package.
lot. They come with a lot of good upgrades. It's a lot.
Yeah. So I know disappointment that you can't take them on your Wookiees. The Vibroswords, 6-point arsenal upgrade, red, white, and you gain charge. So that helps with that AI move because you just move in and smack someone in the face.
Yep.
And this gives it to just the commander, correct? Or is it the whole unit?
It's a weapon upgrade, just like Death Troopers and Pathfinders get. So the entire unit can take advantage of that.
Nice.
Yeah, because
So-
it looks like it would be similar to like how you would have a grenade, or you're giving that whole unit
Yeah. So
Vibroswords.
you can have a melee focused unit, sword and shield, sword and board,
That's awesome. I really like
running
that.
up there and hack and slashing.
Is this a new symbol though?
No,
that we
that's
have?
the
Okay,
Arsenal
that's the
upgrade.
Arsenal one. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. Just the ways you can build this differently. You can build it as a range shooting unit. You can use it as a frontline melee unit.
And do they have slots for 2 weapon upgrades?
That I
no.
don't know.
No,
Because
from
the-
what? I'm sorry.
The sword and the shield both take the same upgrade slot.
Yeah. So current speculation is no, though. The pictures that have been shown of the cards have all the tokens strategically placed over all of the upgrade slots, and actually their ranged dice as well.
So I'm pretty sure they have 2. They're gonna have 2. I'm gonna guess it's a black and a white. This is just speculation on my part because if you look at where the die is or the symbol, it looks like it's a little higher. And I was doing some comparison earlier, but yeah, they're good at hiding these.
Yeah, so
These
it leaves us
tokens.
to speculate
Yeah,
until the next article.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, the sniper upgrade, 2 red, 1 to 5, of course, to match all the current snipers out there. But a new keyword, lethal, and they explain that on stream as you spend an aim token to gain pierce.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So I mean, it's a trade off. I think it's a little bit better for the clones because you can share those aim tokens. Whereas with the droids, you're gonna have to aim and then shoot, and then you wouldn't have a reroll if you wanted to get pierce.
But I think a lot of times you're better off because you're throwing 2 red anyway.
Yeah.
So your aim as a reroll is not going to be as effective as using a pierce.
Right, because with the Imperial snipers and the Rebel snipers, well, the Rebel snipers are terrible, excuse me, but the Empire snipers with their 2 black, it seems like you guys always miss. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
They even out because we surged a hit for the Rebels, which on the it becomes a 5 out of 8 and a 3 out of 8, and then the Imperials are both 4 out of 8. So they average out to the exact same.
Mathematically
rate.
the same. But of course, Imperials benefit more from an aim token than that.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think that's good. I think it's.
I would, given the option on any scenario, I would take
that lethal
Pierce 1 over the ability to reroll 2 dice any day.
Yeah.
So that to me is an awesome keyword.
On 2 red for sure, because like you said, most of the time you're going to be rolling hits or crits or surges. They surge on a hit, or they surge to hit. So, I mean, yeah, like that lethal 1 is a great keyword for them. And I'm not looking forward to seeing more snipers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, especially if the point costs are as cheap as you were thinking.
But it's something good that these armies needed as well. They needed these cheap units, the backfield activation stuff that can still contribute, but it's not a 6-man unit. But
the point cost on sniper is 30 something if our zoom enhance is working right.
Okay, so it's going to end up being about 55
to 60.
points,
I think
like
if you throw
that,
a few more upgrades on there.
So it's more expensive than we're looking at for Imperial or Rebel sniper teams.
More expensive, but I'm just like everything is so much baked
defense
into
is
them.
better.
Scale
they have
built
so many
in.
more keywords. Impervious. That's huge because how much? I'd love to have Impervious where I could roll extra dice on my Rebel Sniper team.
Yeah,
when they
right.
have Pierce. So I think that's great for them. Gives you some more survivability out of that unit that you're spending points on.
No, here's my hot take. I think we're seeing some feature creep.
Yeah.
Or some power creep.
You think so? Well, they didn't really have anything that could do any range anyway. So you're, if it's a little bit more expensive, you're taking it in lieu of Rolly Boys, maybe?
And I've had, Rebels have Sabine with the Impervious keyword. It's good, but you still have to roll perfectly to eliminate that Pierce, or in certain situations. It's,
Yeah, but if you're searching for defense anyway, for her at least,
right, right. She
your odds of
has an
getting that
advantage.
is not bad. Yeah.
Right. These guys, they don't surge for that defense, so it's something that they, it's nice.
Unless you're, throwing out a whole bunch of
Surge
standby
tokens.
or surge tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those sound pretty awesome with the sniper, the poison bombs.
Oh, God.
It's going to be terrifying.
Going to be
Terrifying.
nasty.
Yeah, anything with a red dice save is not going to already doesn't like the radiation cannons, but they're just doubling down. So I think suppression is the Imperial thing. Poison might be the Separatist thing. And,
Any hero model that
you're
those Lukes, those Vaders, you take wounds. Like, you got poison tokens, take wounds.
And it sounds like something that's tailor made to hurt clones.
Yeah. For sure. It's gonna be damaging for clones. Yeah.
Especially since clones, as of right now, don't have a way of removing them. Because as there's no medic available to clones as of yet.
I think you're gonna see that game where you have a droid out there with that poison, that rad gun, and for me, I'm just gonna kite that guy as best I can. Try to stay at range 3 so he never has that range 2 shot on me, and it's gonna take time. But I'd rather avoid that shot if I can than take those wounds or send a vehicle in. Something else. I had that happen in my Battlefield expansion game where my ATRT went up against his poison gun, and he was like, "Man, I should have sent this the other way," and I was like, "Yeah, you should have." You just got to find ways to deal with those challenges.
So, what's the viability running sword and board with these guys? Because you never see full scout trooper teams, you never see full commando teams for rebels. Is there a possibility we might see some sword and board, just 4-man teams with the commandos? Droids?
Well, it would be a 5-man team at that point. Well, no, 4-man, because you'd only have to have
unless you add the sniper or the
right.
saboteur to it.
I think the saboteur would fit in a 5-man team pretty good. If I was doing that, I would take the deflector shields just to keep them alive longer.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what you want to build them as. Do you want to be that charge in and hard hitting unit, or do you want to make him a little more survivable?
It's me we're talking about, so I wanted to be a charge and hard hitting unit.
I mean, those poison tokens, man. Like, you don't have to detonate them when you drop them. Those are huge threats, especially with these guys that have red defense dice. So, yeah, it's if it were me, I would be running deflector shields and those poison bombs and make you deal with those poison bombs. And I would just sit in the middle of the field and drop as many as I could. And then I would have one man in the back with his finger on the trigger just popping poison bombs if you came into that range. Because you're going to take damage and you're going to take poison damage. And that's terrifying. You can't stop it. There's not that many medics out there.
There's only one way to stop it, and that's a mirror match.
Yeah. Because the poison token won't work on droids, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into the big release for the Republic. So we look at the ARC Troopers finally, huh?
Yeah. A lot of people were excited for this. There were some people who were wanting the Republic Commandos. I know that. I'm excited for these guys.
It's the first release. There's
Yeah.
going to be more to come.
I know,
Give it
yeah.
time.
People just are chomping at the bit for things, and this stuff is going to come out. So, the ARC Troopers, their point cost is a little bit different. 72 points for the 4-man strike team, and right now they're listed as 21 points on Tabletop Admiral. I'm going to call that wrong. I think they're probably sitting somewhere more around 24 points, just based on old units and what their cost comparison was.
Okay. And that's without the heavy weapons. So
without the heavy
obviously
weapon.
It's gonna go more.
Yeah. And I could be wrong. They might have these points different based on things. But yeah, I'm just going off math and what I've seen in the old units. But yeah, real quick, they have Impervious as well. They also have Scout 2. They also have Sharpshooter. Instead of Scale, these guys have Tactical, though. Tactical 1, which is the same thing that Rex has. Move, get aim token, which is really good on these guys, especially with clones, clone sharing. It's another great, you want those green tokens.
So with the Scout moves, that doesn't give you tactical, right?
Yeah, it's any standard move.
Oh, nice.
So even jumps, anything where you're putting that movement template, outside of like the which they're not going to do. Reverses. Climb, I think, is not a standard move, but I mean, you could put the jetpack on them and fly. That's a jump is a standard move.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they should be getting that token most of the time.
All right, so what do we have for the standard layout of weaponry?
So they have the sniper rifle as well, but they're rolling 1 red, 1 black, range 1 to 5. Looks like 31 points on theirs. So maybe that initial unit is a little bit cheaper, but I think the unit's going to be more expensive. Critical 1 and lethal 1. So again, that aim token, which is great if you're moving and shooting, you already have that aim token ready to go for that pierce. And then their bombs, I don't think they have a bomb unit.
They don't, because there is no bomb token in their token spread.
Yeah.
So their other heavies, like the Pathfinders, are going to be 2 unique characters. But according to the stream that they were talking about them, that those unique characters are also usable in... don't remember if it was only phase 2 or if it was in all the core units as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And they have 2 health.
They're iconic characters too. I actually recognize who those guys are.
Yeah, Echo and 5s. And then they have models for them. I don't know if I put the picture in here. I don't think
I saw the fully painted ones. Yeah, those look awesome.
Oh yeah, so you have the... Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to get like an Echo and 5's character. But hey, the head's all the same, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Every
true.
clone
Well,
is
yeah,
the
but they'll have
same.
different, like, distinct hairstyles
that's true.
and facial hair and whatnot.
Yeah, different markings on their on their helmets and stuff too.
Yeah.
And then this one, you're getting 7 models as well, which I think is cool. So you're going to get some options there for...
Seven models, but also phase 1 helmets, phase 2 helmets, and then helmetless. So clone players are going to have to start building bits boxes for all the extra heads you're going to have.
I'm okay with that.
Here's a question I have from the hobby modeling standpoint. It's got 3 guys on flight stands.
Yeah.
Are those mandatory?
I want to say that they said they're not in tournament, because they did talk about this on the stream, but they also, when they said that, they said, hey, we're looking at these rules where we want to talk about line of sight and having, we don't want to stop these cool looking models from going out there because they're taller, or you're modeling for disadvantage basically if you have them high.
Because that's the thing. It's like you never want to have your model overly tall, unless it's an ATST who's going to be able to shoot across the table. But for an ARC Trooper, you're not going to want to have those guys sticking up over cover.
Right. And we have some time before these guys come out, so I suspect we'll see those rules come out first.
Sure.
And then, which only makes sense, and then we'll see these guys release. And
of course, if they have the silhouette widget or rule that comes into play in the new RRG, then doesn't matter. Model away. You can put them on giant, really
have
tall flying
standing on
stands
top of a ATR or ATST.
And they did mention on the stream that those not only were they optional, but they had different heights. Of course, there's 2 different heights in the picture there, but they said that it was possible to attach them at different points in the model. I believe they mentioned that. So if you did want to make them lower, higher, different angles.
Yeah, it was like
possible.
a ball joint. So you
okay.
could,
Very cool.
And then they've got 3 weapon options that come on them too. Well, not 3, but they've got their melee, they've got a range 1 to 2 blaster, and then they have a range 1 to 3 blaster. So there's a lot of versatility built into these ARC Troopers, and I'm pretty excited to have them out there on the field.
Did we mention what the actual jetpack does? So it's jump 2.
Yep. Just adds jump 2.
And jump 2.
Yep.
Okay.
And
cheaper for Rex.
Oh yeah, can be attached to Rex, not just this unit.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. Is there anything else you want to go over with these guys?
No, I mean, there's some cards that are, tucked in there. You've got some EMP grenades coming out, some ascension cables, which look like the Naboo, the grappling hooks.
Yeah.
So we might see some scale equipment coming out where you tap it and you gain scale for 1 round, or for while you have that tapped. Situational awareness, that's a card that we don't know what it is. Both the droids and the ARC Troopers are getting that. Lots of new tokens. If you were looking at, I'm going to go back to Cad Bane for a second. He's got like all these little crossed guns tokens. We don't know what those are. So a lot of new stuff that's coming out, which is pretty exciting.
So a lot of it's basically, all right, well, stand by until we get the RRG, and then we'll figure out exactly how this is going to work.
Yeah, and probably those release articles too as we start getting closer, because they already did the initial operative and special forces articles where it's like, hey, this is the unit that's coming out, and then they show like a couple things like the command cards and whatnot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of great stuff coming. Lots to be excited about.
Yeah, and we don't know when these are coming out. Probably.
They believe they said quarter 2 of 2020. So that, of course, means June, right?
Yeah. Hopefully before then. But, yeah, we don't know. We've still got things we've got K2SO, Iden Versio, Dio, Cassian Andor, all these things that are still on the way.
Well, the next one in queue is Vital Assets, and everyone's speculating, will that hit before Worlds? Because that is going to shake up Worlds.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So.
All those new objectives and conditions.
Awesome. So before we wrap things up here, we do have some new Patreon stuff, right?
Yep.
So our good friend and I don't know, probably the contributor to the delinquency of our podcast, Antonio Sanchez, is our newest Outrider. So thank you very much, Antonio. We appreciate your support and your alcohol.
We'll piggyback off that, and we've been working on some new rewards that we want to get out to our Patreons, because we want to express our thanks for the support, not just what we do on the podcast and generating content, but something that we can get back to you. So we're gonna make a Facebook post on that. We're just kind of finalizing all the details, and then you guys should see something. So keep an eye on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and those little widgets you guys have already, the corner markers look awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
John's good at spoilers. It's okay. Yeah. So that's one thing that we have planned is deployment markers, because we haven't seen a whole lot of those, for players to get.
No, those are awesome. Definitely better than the standard cardboard ones, which I always forget. Leave them on the table anyway.
Well, you won't forget these. They look good. Yeah. Hopefully.
Real quick, so we're doing some changes here on the podcast. I'm going to be stepping aside. Matt, and full transparency here, Jeff, Daniel, and Matt have been the driving force of the show for a while now. Jeff has been a resurgence of our social media. He's done a lot, and let's be real here. Like, Daniel and Jeff are probably some of the most avid community members that we have here. They play the most, they practice the most. They're really the ones that are keeping our community locally.
They need more beard, though.
I mean, I tried. I can only do so much.
No, so having Daniel jump on with the show is going to be a huge asset.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here, despite what Matt says.
It is not a pleasure to be here.
So from henceforth, it will be Matt, Jeff, and Daniel running the Outriders, which I think is going to be a big boon to the show. I think you're going to see the quality jump up, and you're not going to have me, so...
Well, and you're not departing from Legion for good. We talked about this.
Yeah. So I mean, I've stepped a little bit away from the community. I mean, seeing everybody at LVO was great. Like, I love doing the face-to-face engagement, but I've never been big on the Discord. I don't do a whole lot. I left the Facebook Legion page probably about a month ago, and honestly, again, full transparency, Legion has never been my chief focus.
Yeah.
I'm more of a hobbyist. I dabble in 2 or 3 other games at a time. I also have ADD, so I tend to bounce from one flavor of the week to another. And while Legion, I still unbiasedly think it's the best game out there from a competitive standpoint, from a balance standpoint. It's Star Wars. Let's be real. It's even if the game was terrible, it's still a fun source material to play.
Yeah. Lightsabers and blasters and just good times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, you guys focus solely on Legion.
Yeah, it's my only minis game right now. I play other board games, but I have no other interest in, like, I played X-Wing back in the day, kind of dropped that before 2.0 came out. Played Imperial Assault, and Legion is what Imperial Assault I kind of wanted it to be. So when Matt told me about it, I was like, I'll check it out, and then I waited, bided my time and liked what I saw, and now, I'm neck deep in it, and I really enjoy it. So I really have no intentions of going anywhere else, because I've played those other games, where you're ADD running around looking at everything. I already did all that. And then I found my home here in Legion, and I'm OCD, so I'm just going to focus on one thing. So.
Well, that fits perfectly, and that's why you guys are, a very valuable asset to have, both in our community and not the podcast. So, I'll bid a temporary adieu, but I'll be back here from time to time. Although I'll try to announce my arrival and not just be like Josh and just drop in randomly.
Or Matt this episode.
Well, Matt was sick, and Matt decided to Mary Poppins in and out from time to time. Mm-hmm. So, anything else you want to hit before we?
No, I think that's it. This was
Thank
a
you
long
for your
episode,
service,
right?
you big Wookie.
Yeah. Stay tuned to our page. We have stuff coming out. Just I'm trying to make updates there as much as I can. If you have any questions or want to drop us a note, Facebook, we have that. I know we have other platforms as well. Do you guys want to? Do you know of any that we have? The Twitter. Do we have Twitter?
Yes, it's tied to the Facebook.
Okay, yeah. Facebook is probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Yep.
And I'll still be communicating with people here and there. So if you message me, I'm not gonna just be like, well, I don't do this anymore. So yeah, I'll still pop in at LVO and stuff like that, and I still go to Power 9 all the time. So if you're ever in the area and want to get a game in, I'm open to. But Dan and Jeff are the ones you probably want to play against if you want to challenge. Matt, if you want to win.
Yeah.
John, if you want to drink beers.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Matt.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to us, and you catch the other guys next week.
You've been listening to the Legion Outriders podcast, a member of the Radio Free Tatooine Network.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
For more from the Outriders, make sure you like us on Twitter at Legion Outriders, subscribe to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Legion Outriders, and make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.